Hello, Anne. Welcome to the ACRPS Center. We're very happy to have you here as a participant at the Winter School. If I could have you just introduce yourself briefly and tell me a little bit about your research.
Yeah, thank you, Dana. Thank you for hosting me for the Winter School. I'm very happy to be here. My PhD is on how citizens mobilized against sectarian and ethnic politics. And I look at two different cases. I look at citizen protests and electoral campaigns in Lebanon that have challenged sectarian politics over the recent years, and I compare these to the same kind of mobilizations in Bosnia, which is a country that has very deep divisions between its ethnic and religious groups as well.
Okay, so when did you start your PhD?
I started in 2019 February.
Okay,
so I'm a
so
good year
what would the first kind of anti-sectarian mobilization that you deal with, in terms of what year?
Well, the first anti-sectarian mobilization that I look at actively was the 2011 protests in Lebanon, the Sectarianism protests, which is also considered by some activists as the starting point for the large-scale mobilizations against the sectarian system in Lebanon. This is when some activists see that they sort of started building up a movement, which many say also has led to what we see now in the protest that started last year in October.
So would you say that there's kind of a line between the same actors from 2011 to the recent protests in 2019?
Definitely there is a line, and many activists that I've talked to also tell me that there is a clear line. But there's, of course, there are also a lot of new things with the protests that are happening at the moment. First of all, there are a lot of new people that have never taken part in contention against the sectarian system,
and they're
who went to the streets.
Right.
We have new groups, we have new regions that take up a big role in the protests. But if we look at the sort of development that has happened from 2011 and up till now, you can see some interesting trends. You can see that the slogans, for instance, that the protesters are using today, many of them are slogans that we've heard before in previous protests, that people know work. And also, of course, many of the activists that take part in organizing stuff on ground, as doing the very practical organization of talks or events or happenings. These people are people that have sort of become active over the years. But along with them, there are also a lot of new groups, of course, that we should be aware of.
Right. No, that's very interesting. And how would you say the comparison with Bosnia, is it kind of a most similar or most different? Where is the comparison going to help you kind of on a theoretical basis?
That's an interesting question, actually. It's a question. Exactly, that's why I'm saying it's an interesting question, because I don't quite know how to answer that. It's something that my colleagues tend to ask me about a lot. And to be quite honest, the way I do my research is very exploratory. And sort of the first step in my research is to get a more solid picture of what's going on in the two societies. What are the most important factors, both seen through the eyes of the academic literature on the topic, but also through the eyes of the people who are organizing the mobilizations. What do they think are important? So this is the first step, and this is why I don't quite know whether I will frame my research in terms of the differences between Bosnia and Lebanon or in terms of the similarities.
Right, so it's still in the exploratory stage. But I imagine there's a lot of, it seems on its face that it would be a fruitful comparison because, like you said, Bosnia has these, I'd say an overlapping of ethnic and sectarian cleavages, and the same with Lebanon. So, that's very interesting. And do you feel like the Winter School, maybe as the days go on, I'll ask you this question again, but your awareness of some of the Arabic literature might be more, useful in this regard, or?
The Winter School has got me more interested in the Doha Institute, and I'm also aware that you act as a translator between the English language and the Arabic language literatures. So I'm very interested in knowing more about that, because I think it's important to have a dialogue between these two sort of sections or wells of research.
Right, and especially because of Dr. Azmi's recent book,
Exactly.
work on sectarianism. I think that
exactly. Yeah, so I think what I like about the winter school is that you get to engage in conversations with peers that are working on similar topics over a longer period of time, and you have this constant, exchange between social activities and learning activities, academic activities. So I think that works nice now, and I'm convinced that it'll be very fruitful also over the next days. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
agreeing
you
to the interview, and hopefully we'll continue this conversation over
definitely.